What's going on, guys? Graham, Gius, Matthews here with WhatCulture.com. Today we're talking to EC3 ahead of Ring of Honor's 19th anniversary pay-per-view next Friday night, live on pay-per-view, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. EC3, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining me.
Hey, my sincere, dearest, absolute pleasure to join you here on What Culture. What a fine indoctrination website you guys run, providing information and intel to legions of fans. And whether it's real news or fake news, I don't know. But in the eye of the beholder, who cares? But no, nice to have
Exactly.
me. Nice to have me.
Information is out there regardless. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, man, because there's so much to get to, especially going into this pay-per-view next Friday. This match has been a long time in the making. You and Jay Briscoe, it was supposed to happen at the Final Battle pay-per-view. Circumstances be what they are. The match is now happening this coming Friday at the 19th anniversary pay-per-view. How excited are you going to this match on Friday?
I'm absolutely thrilled to get my hand on Jay Briscoe. To be honest, 100% transparent, Jay Briscoe, I think, is top five in the industry, and he's been for a very long time. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he gets the recognition, perhaps the online swarms should give him. He's one of the finest talents I've ever had the chance of combating wits with. And then in the ring of Ring of Honor 19, I will battle him. And it's truly a test to see if honor is real, because for a very long time, as I watched this industry degrade itself, I've been in corporate wrestling brands, I've been associated with three-letter brands for so long. I do not find honor to be real. So I had to come to Ring of Honor, where honor is in the name, and put that name to the test. And I think the best test is Jay Briscoe.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this match is going to be great too, because I think you guys are two of the top talents in Ring of Honor right now. And like I said, it's been a long time in the making, for many months, ever since you arrived in Ring of Honor late last year. But before we even get any further with the pay-per-view itself, we do got to mention this right off the bat before I forget. We'll get back to it at the end of the interview as well. Freethenarrative.com is where people can find all your stuff, your merchandise.
Yes.
You're all over social media. The vignettes have been all over the place over the last year. Talk a little bit more about the
Yeah.
website and what's been going into that
Yeah.
the last year.
First off, I think my social media is punished by the algorithms because I touch on some very uh, some subject matter that perhaps big tech doesn't want us to talk about. I don't know, control, freedom, and purpose mostly. But freethenarrative.com is the hub for the narrative. I encourage you to join our email list. I will not spam you. Trust me, I do not have the time, but it's one way to communicate with fans, with people that want to control their narrative. Hop onto the website. Right now, we have something I'm testing out, which is a way to create content and distribute it. So if you jump over to my wearable propaganda section that's merchandise, on freethenarrative.com, you pick up a nice Rapture Skull shirt here. You will have
Nice.
access to the narrative briefs, which I co-created with my dear partner, the narrator. And it's 4 segments, a couple promos, one cinematic fight. I don't like to say cinematic matches because those have jumped the shark
Mm-hmm.
way too long ago, and just giving a different perspective and trying new things that we hope to expand upon, which we will. For more information, I'll talk to you again, and then we will also have it on freethenarrative.com. So something kind of large, self-produced, self-financed art piece coming down. It's just controlling the narrative, control your narrative. I want to see change. I can't expect anyone else to create change unless I do it myself. So excited about that. But freethenarrative.com.
Awesome
Thank you for
stuff.
set. Yeah, thank you for setting me up for that.
Absolutely, dude. It's been a crazy year because you launched that close to a year ago. We're speaking in March right now. You were released from WWE last April. How have you seen the last year fly by? That was you were elsewhere a year ago. You went to Impact for a
Yeah,
little while. Now you're in Ring of Honor. You've been there for a while now. Has this last year like flown by for you given the current circumstances, or has it gone by
it,
really, really slow?
it's interesting because sometimes it feels like, wow, that really flew by, and then sometimes goes, that was only a year ago, because so much was done. But I would say I'm more leaning towards the side of it flew by, because here we are. It's March. We're approaching 1 year. I mean, what is it? A year ago, a couple of days ago, that
Yeah.
15 days to slow the spread took place, and here we are.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough. So yeah, we've been lied to forever, and that's cool. But uh, yeah, it has flown by, and a lot has taken place. And even when I briefly returned to Impact, it was more of a, I was never happy with the way I ended my Impact tenure. So I think that was a good way to kind of die on my shield, so to speak, give somebody else the proper recognition I believe they deserve. Whether they live up to it, it's now up to them, that being Moose. But at the same time, I was still doing business with Ring of Honor too. So it's kind of interesting. I was approaching both facets, and that was pretty cool. But right now, besides the narrative content I create, I am focused on Ring of Honor. I'm focused on Jay Briscoe, and I'm focused on bringing this company to where I believe it should be.
Yeah, it's so cool too because it's very rare. At least you go back 5 years ago. I feel like Cody was one of the first people to do it, where he had left WWE. He was in Impact for a little while. He went to Ring of Honor for a few years. Obviously, now he's doing the AEW thing. Matt Cardona is doing it currently. I mean, he's in Impact.
Yep.
He was in AEW for a little while, so he's another prime example of a guy that was kind of
You
all over the place.
do you know kind of the kind of knocking heads Matt Cardona and I've had?
Oh, I've seen the tweets on Twitter. I've seen the back
Interesting.
and forth.
Yeah, and when I showed up to his podcast and completely ruined his life by bringing honesty to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know if he's happy. I see he's another man. I see a lot of repressed feelings and emotions where he does not truly become who he should be. He puts on a very smiling face. As you can see, he's got that, I'll say it, shit-eating grin in every picture he takes. But behind that smile, I feel there's more to that man, and I really want to pull it out of him. So we'll see what happens. FreeTheNarrative.com.
We'll see. We'll see.
It is interesting, being able the opportunity to bounce around like that. And the thing is, wrestling fans, wrestling itself, we all know each other exists. So these worlds can coexist. Hell, they should coincide. So it's an interesting time. It's hard to pull off properly, but I love it. I love that people don't know what's happening, because still people think they know what's happening with me and they have no idea. And that's because I don't talk about it, because surprises are so rare in entertainment, in life nowadays. Everyone wants to know. And when they don't know, I think is when the best work takes place.
Absolutely. I think surprises, like you said, are so hard to come by nowadays, specifically in wrestling, when you kind of know when there's writing on the wall for everything and everything's kind of teased ahead of time, or reports and dirt sheets and crap like that. So seeing you pop up back in Impact last summer was a great moment. Seeing you pop up in Ring of Honor was an amazing moment. I was with my girlfriend both times. She's a big fan of you. We met you at Access 2 years ago. And when I showed her we were watching Slammiversary, she's like, oh, it's EC3. And then I showed her the first vignette that popped up in Ring of Honor TV, and she was freaking out. It's like one of those things, like you said, you don't really expect different worlds to kind of coincide like that. And I feel like we're seeing that more now than ever before. So like you said, it's a great time to be a fan right now, a great time to be a fan of Ring of Honor, all these other companies as well. One other thing I wanted to, sorry, go
real
ahead.
Fast. Yeah. How dead behind the eyes was I when you met me at Access?
I don't know if you were dead behind the eyes. This was Mania 35 weekend. So this was like soon after the main roster debut. You were actually awesome. We got a great picture with you. And I forgot, you had said something like, oh, go hang that picture up on your mantle or something like that. It was fun. We got a great kick into that. It was like you, Ginny, and Sting in one,
That's nice. That's a nice swoop. I beat Sting, right?
Yeah, 2 former TNA world champions, and you beat him when you were undefeated in Impact. So,
did I offer to officiate your wedding in the future?
You didn't, but if the invitation is out there, I would like to. I mean, I'll put that on record. That'd be awesome. Awesome. Thanks a lot. I'll keep that in mind. But that was fantastic. And again, the years just fly by. That was 2 years ago. Feels like it was yesterday. But speaking of yesterday, I got to bring this up, dude, before we get into more Ring of Honor 19th anniversary stuff. Yesterday was your birthday. I mean, how do you celebrate? You're currently in quarantine before the pay-per-view. Were you in the hotel at that point? What was your birthday like?
Yeah. A just world shouldn't tolerate my existence this long. I'll say that much. But a birthday is another day. I really what are you going to do to celebrate? I don't celebrate anything. I'm too focused and I'm too driven. And unfortunately, it's a blessing or is it a curse? I don't know at this point, but nothing about it was like, I need to celebrate. What did I do? I woke up, I hit some intense cardio. I ate. I probably responded some happy birthday messages. I then therefore trained back hard. Then we went to work and I worked, and then I came back to the hotel and I probably answered some more messages. And what are you gonna do to celebrate? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do to celebrate. I'm gonna get $100 worth of sushi delivered to my hotel room. I'm gonna eat it and I'm gonna black out. That's exactly what I did. So a perfect day, I'd say.
Yeah, that's definitely a
Alone,
perfect day.
alone in my solitude with rice and fish.
And we were talking about before how you guys are in solitude for the next week before the pay-per-view with Ring of Honor's protocols and whatnot. I mean, that's got to be relaxing, right? No one's bothering you. You're away from the world for a week and you get to focus on
Yeah.
this match next weekend. I mean, that's literally like the perfect environment. I mean, maybe not for some people that might be a nightmare, but I
No.
completely agree with you where it sounds like the perfect environment.
Well, I've learned in solitude as my thirst and quest for knowledge. Do you know what a sigma male is?
I do not know.
Okay, you know there's an alpha male and a beta male
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
gamma male and all that. Okay, there's this sigma male
Hmm.
apparently, and the sigma male is a lot like the alpha male. So I'm like, all right, this sounds interesting to me because I think I'm alpha, but like I'm not a insane demented narcissist who needs to be in control all the time. So I researched the sigma male, and apparently I'm that. But one of the thing is you find yourself in solitude as a sigma male, like so you don't need to be around people. You're very social, but only when you want to be, which is
Hmm.
like, all right, that's cool. And maybe that's because I'm a Pisces with a hint of Aries too. I don't know. I'm just talking weird. Yeah. Hey, this is the first conversation I had because I'm in quarantine. So I'm just
Oh, really?
getting bizarre.
This is
Yeah.
like, so am I the first person you talked to since we're talking like a week or something like that?
I would say first non Ring of Honor person. Yes.
Wow, that's
Well, I call
crazy.
my mom and dad called me yesterday.
There you go. They count too. They count too.
Yeah.
To call you to say happy birthday, I'm sure.
No, to call me to ask for money and happy birthday. Yeah.
That's cool too. I mean, hey, that's what parents are for. But going back to the Ring of Honor stuff with this match, it's funny because we've seen you on TV a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, and you've had a variety of matches. You were involved in the four-way with Jay Lethal as well. Matt Taven was in there. That was like a formal match, but other than that, you were part of the six-man tag team match when you first
Yeah.
debuted. You haven't had like many actual like formal matches. It's been like a
Yeah.
variety of stuff, and you would never know that. You know what I mean? Like we
Mm.
see all the vignettes with you. You had the cinematic fight with Moose at Bound for Glory. um when it comes to this match with Jay Briscoe, what can fans expect? Like it's a grudge match. That's what it's being billed as. Is this going to be a fight? And I think the cool thing too about that four-way was that it was kind of more, in my opinion, more storytelling based. And I feel like a lot of
Yes.
that is missing nowadays. Not in Ring of Honor.
Mm.
I'm just talking about like in general. So what can
In
people expect
general.
from this match on Friday?
Uh, I am in this industry for three things, and it's emotion, it's moments, and it's story. So
Mhm.
it's definitely going to be a story. I don't know if you saw the hype video between Jay Briscoe and I that Ring of Honor put out, but it was one of the better ones I've seen in wrestling in quite some time.
Mhm.
But the story is honor, and honor is shown via handshake. So I think going forward, regardless what happens, grudge match, wrestling match, if honor is real, that man will shake my hand. This is my first sanctioned singles match in probably over a year. So
Wow.
with an official, yeah, it's I'm kind of excited about that. And everyone expects it. It's a grudge match. It's billed as a grudge match. But do I really have a grudge with this man? I know he despises the idea of me, but the actual me, I do not know. And what grudge do we truly have besides the fact he will not shake my hand? But have I given him reason to shake my hand? Not yet, but I will. Whatever I plan on doing with Jay Briscoe, I guarantee it'll be different and it will be emotional. It'll have moments and it will tell a great story.
Mhm. And it's one of the marquee matches and what's going to be a stack show. And we had Final Battle a couple of months ago, which unfortunately you can be a part of, but that was also a great show. And I think Ring of Honor since the relaunch has been doing some just fantastic work, not only in terms of the
Absolutely.
in-ring stuff, but the promos, as you mentioned, building more stories, and all of this without fans too, which is all the more impressive. How familiar were you with the Ring of Honor product before coming over last year? Because you went from WWE Impact back to WWE Impact for a little while. First time in Ring of Honor. How were you watching the product at all? How familiar were you with Ring of Honor before last year?
I prior to last year, I was very familiar as a student of the game, kept
Mhm.
catching up with everything and watching everything. Probably a year prior, though, I was so desensitized and abhorrent of the industry because I was within the midst of it in the most miserable time I've ever been in my life,
Mm-hmm.
that I just couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch any wrestling. I couldn't watch the wrestling I was doing, the company I was in, other companies. I just had no interest in it because it pained me to watch how the business degraded. It pained when you know how the sausage is made too, and you're in the midst of it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
When nothing you do matters, like it becomes a job. And the second this became a job, it became not passionate and not fun. And that's unfortunate. So I reaffirmed myself with the Ring of Honor product upon the relaunch. So I did not know a lot going into it. And apparently a lot of changes that needed to be made were made. And morale is super high. I would put this product above anything. When I watched this product compared to other products, I feel this is far more suited for me, and it's tolerable, and I think it's doing the business and the industry in a better way. So I'm proud of that and what everyone's bringing to that table. But at the same time, the reason I call for a rapture of the industry is I just believe it needs drastic change, and you can't talk about it, you have to do it. So.
And well, kind of coming off of that too, you mentioned how that was why you came to Ring of Honor, why it's a great fit for you right now, and I completely agree. You debuted, I think this would have been September, maybe it was right around the relaunch of Ring of Honor. But we only just found out recently that you've officially signed full on a contract with the company, which is cool. What contributed to your decision to sign full time with ROH?
Freedom. They are aware that a free EC3 is a very valuable EC3. So I'm free to create. I'm free to speak my truth. I'm free to perform in the way I think I prefer to perform and show. And as long as I can back up what I say and what I do, they provided me a great amount of freedom. So you'll see more of that as I release other things. But at the same time, my focus is with them, and whatever I do on the side is only to better my position here and to better this company. So freedom was the biggest thing. And every time I come here, they give me a canvas, and it's blank. It's blank. And you know how many words they've told me to say? None.
0. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how many things they told me to do in matches? None. And having that trust and that faith from just being here without having established it prior is a great show of respect. And I hope to reciprocate what they've given me as an open forum to create and become the man I'm supposed to be.
And when you become a free agent a year ago, is Ring of Honor the end game for you at that point? Because obviously there's a lot of things going through your head. This is when the pandemic first started. I mean, there's obviously so many more things to worry about than just that. But was this always the end game? Because I know you've talked a lot about the Jericho podcast that you had done was fantastic. And you mentioned there how there was so much that people didn't. You just mentioned before how there's so much more people didn't know then, still don't know now about where you're going, what you have planned, stuff like that. So when you become a free agent, obviously Impact's an option. You did that for a little while. Was this always the end game for you? Or was it really more a matter of kind of feeling things out, seeing what opportunities presented themselves and stuff like that?
The end game is always to be different and to break conformity. Ring of Honor has provided that as the best option. To be honest, I don't know my end game yet, which could be a good thing, but also a bad thing at the same time, because you do need to have a vision and an end result in that mind. But at the same time, I'm liking how everything is falling into place. So I wouldn't say it was necessarily the end game because I don't know the end game. But now that I'm here in this game, I will be Ring of Honor champion. I know that. I won't leave ever until I accomplish that. And what I see as an end game here now is to bring this company to the relevance it deserves, or at least assist. They have the tools. They have top talent like the Briscoes and the Jay Lethal and these foundations they've built upon. They have young and up and coming talent. They have, since the relaunch, created the product, which is excellent. Like now it's just about making sure the world realizes that.
Yeah. And you mentioned your goals right there. Ring of Honor World Champion, topping those goals you talked about earlier, restoring honor to Ring of Honor, controlling your narrative. Those are your goals in Ring of Honor. Is there anyone specific that you want to face? Obviously, we got the Jay Briscoe match on Friday. You tangled a little bit with Shane Taylor and those guys early on when you first came in. Jay Lethal recently, Matt Taven, go on, so on and so forth. But beyond those guys, is there anyone else you're really looking forward to, mixing it up with at some point in Ring of Honor? Or is it really, again, more a matter of whatever opportunity presents itself? The match with Jay was more a matter of circumstance with the Honor, the story you guys are telling. That wasn't really something that from the get-go, it seemed like, anyway, from my perspective, that was like, okay, he's going to come to Ring of Honor and he has to face Jay Briscoe, if that makes any sense,
I would say, besides the names aforementioned, is that even a word?
Yeah, that's a word. Yeah, aforementioned. Yeah.
Damn right it is. Smart. The thing is, I'm not in this company with those men. These men are in this company with me. So whomever it is, they can step up to me. I have no goals. There's not, I really want to fight that. Like, no, they need to step up to me. So,
and having been,
so the answer is no. I'm the best. You're not.
Again, whatever match presents itself, your game, you'll beat him. So it doesn't really matter anyway. Of all the places that you've been over the course of your career, Impact, now Ring of Honor, being in WWE for a while, even NXT, how does Ring of Honor, you talked about the freedom. Other than that, what has the vibe been like compared to everywhere else you've been in wrestling over the course of your career?
When I mentioned freedom too, I don't believe like there's this theory that wrestlers need freedom. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people need to be told what to do. And I think you have to earn freedom and you have to live up to freedom. So like, because I mean, if you ask wrestler A, hey, what's tonight? What's something you want to do? Well, I want to beat everyone, be the champ. Like that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so not everyone should have freedom, so to speak, but the freedom to live within the realms that they're creating, yes. And then as far as the vibe and the ambiance, the atmosphere, it's hard to say just based on this is doing business in a totally different way with quarantines and bust in and out. So there's not the locker room rapport you're building with everybody, or you're not having conversations. You're not surrounded by people all the time because you have to make amends for the alleged pandemic. So it's a different atmosphere. And I think when things return to normal, which they should, that I'll get more of a collection of it. But what I could see is that there's a lot of pride here. There is supposed honor. We'll see. We shall see. Morale is high, and there's a lot of optimism. As far as that, in other places, Impact was fun. Everyone was, it's cool to hang out at. Everyone's, I never got the intention that I think they were set in their ways as opposed to what's next to take a step forward. And then morale in WWE's, I mean, you can guess. Like, it's so soul crushing and stealing and financially beneficial. So
when you go back, did that change from the first time you were there to the second time? I guess it's kind of the same thing with Impact because you were in both companies 2 different times. Did that change from the 2 different times you were there or no?
It was different, but it was similar. Like there were similarities, but then there was differences too. And it just seemed like the control mechanism from the top was absurdly stringent, more so than I don't know. No one, people were afraid to take risks. And then as you would talk to like a top guy, like a Cena, perhaps he's like, you got to take a risk. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then you can't. And I think that's something they don't understand from the time when they were coming up and they did, and they were rewarded because it worked. Even if it works, the reward is you went against the grain, so you're punished. And it's not my company. It's not my decisions to make, but that's the way I kind of see it. But at the same time, maybe I didn't do it enough. So
yeah. And
I'm accountable.
And, it's cool, too, because over the course of your career and with recent circumstances being what they are, you've always been a guy that's fed off the audience, with your previous persona over the course of your career, whether it be hearing a chant and then responding to it or kind of feeding off of that, if that makes sense, which has always been kind of unique to you. How weird has it been? I mean, again, you're doing something completely different now, but how weird has that been, or different, I guess, with no audience and at the Ring of Honor shows currently?
There's some things I've done within these walls that I said the only thing that's missing is an audience's reaction, which is very true because feeding off that, the adrenaline, the give or take, like the audience is as much as part of the show as the people performing. So the ability to be out there and feeling things and changing on the whim, giving the audience what they want or what they don't want. It's a missed asset for sure, but it just makes the challenge that much more to be able to tell stories in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So as you'll see with what we do with Ring of Honor, especially in this match with Jay Briscoe, Ring of Honor 19, the story has to become about what's happening here, what our commentators are relaying, and really using that as our creative means until we have audiences back. But then at the same time, these new facets we learn and apply when we have an audience, it's going to make it that much better too. So it's almost like, I don't know, if you're warm enough to swing a bat, you have the donut on it to like loosen you up, and then you remove it and now everything's normal and then you're more fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good analogy? I don't know.
That makes sense.
Hampering yourself and creating challenge and something to overcome means that when you do and you learn this new tool, when things go back to the way they were, you have this new tool that could also play into what you're really good at doing as well. So yes, I would love for an audience to witness this match with Jay Briscoe. They will on television via pay-per-view, Ring of Honor 19. And then I'm sure we will do it again. And then if the story is that good and resonates and they see it, when we do it in front of people, it's going to be that much better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you said it right there. I mean, it kind of forces people to get creative with what you're doing in these matches without an audience. You're kind of creating an ambiance without any additional noise. There's no Thunderdome type of thing. Like, you have to kind of create your own noise. And that was evident in the four-way match when you were talking to Lethal or Briscoe or whoever you were fighting in that given moment. It forces guys to get creative. And not to say they weren't previously, but it kind of, like you said, kind of enhances that, which is cool. And I think you've been one of the few people, not just in your matches, but like with the vignettes. Let's say this whole situation happens. If there's no pandemic, you're gone from WWE, you go to Ring of Honor. Would you have still done the vignettes and everything had things gone differently, or was it kind of a byproduct of everything that's gone down?
The purpose of the vignettes is, first off, I wanted to change who and what I was doing. I just wasn't able to, no matter how many times I pitched it. Mm-hmm. So regardless, when the time came, I was going to do it, whether they wanted it or not, and let the chips fall where they may. Instead of ever getting a chance to do it, I mean, I released the first vignette the day I was fired because I filmed it that day.
Wow.
So when it came down to that, I realized I think the creative system's broken. I think it's awful and hampering and inefficient. I'm going to take this 90 days to create a character by myself with whatever I have, which is a gray wall, a camera, and a good buddy to bounce the ideas off of. And then it became so much more as it expanded. So the vignettes would have probably happened in one way or another within the character I wanted to create. Would the subject matter have been as relevant? I don't know. It probably would have went a slightly different route, but been in the same vein. But I did want to create something with a payoff. That's why I cinematically shot my very first match, because I knew if I come into a company like Impact, if I come into a company like Ring of Honor, they're going to throw me right in the mix. And then this character has no base yet. Like, nobody knows what I'm doing, how I move. They still don't. And even coming into Ring of Honor 19, I have no moves. I have no mannerisms, really.
Yeah.
So creating that, it would have been similar, but it probably would have been different. But at the same time, I mean, after the pandemic-induced bloodletting the WWE had, we would have had 90 days to be on shows establishing ourselves in different places, whether independent, non-televised things. So not only was that financially missed opportunity, it was an opportunity to not hone in what I was doing. That's
Yeah.
okay. I just had to do it myself, which I'm okay with because that's control your narrative.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been in complete control of everything you've done since then. And it kind of worked out perfectly
Almost.
timing wise. You know, with the vignettes, obviously you're still doing the stuff now. You got an upcoming project. We're going to speak more about that another time. But like leading up to July 18th, when you became a free agent, you had all that time to kind of build anticipation for what your next move was going to be, culminating with the Slammiversary appearance, now in Ring of Honor, EC3 and ROH. It just kind of worked out perfectly timing wise. And you don't really see that much nowadays. I think the other person that I think of is Matt Hardy. He was another
Yeah.
person who had kind of done that with the free the delete stuff. So I think kind of those different avenues of creativity have been great. But yeah, going back to Ring of Honor though, I think it's going to be a great match on Friday, 19th anniversary show. Yourself and Jay Briscoe. It's going to be an awesome match. EC3. Really looking forward to it. But before we go off the air, though, before we wrap up here,
Yes.
freethenarrative.com. One more time, people can find your merchandise there, all your videos.
Yes.
Mini movies, cinematic stuff, everything you got going on, blog post. You wrote about the Drake Maverick. I
did you
forgot
read
his name for a second.
Spud.
Rockstar Spud match. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I called
Did
him
you
Drake.
read? Did you read it?
I
was in
did.
quarantine
It was
when I read
great.
it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like so. Yeah. I'm gonna start doing more of that stuff. Just I don't know. My worry about writing was like, are people actually gonna just take 7 minutes to read it? Because everything's like so quick. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing it for anybody but myself. Like this popped in my mind.
Exactly.
I saw somebody post something about it. I'm going to put my thoughts down, and it had some pretty good reviews. So if people like it, I'll continue it. If they don't like it, I'll probably still continue it because I don't let people dictate my actions
I'm the exact same
anymore.
way. Exactly. It's funny you mentioned that because I had seen Drake Spud, whatever. I had seen him post about it a couple of days ago, and I thought he was linking to like a fan post or something because we fans write about this stuff all the time, like remembering EC3 and Rockstar Spud from 6 years ago today or whatever. And then I realized it was on your website and that you wrote it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. You don't really ordinarily see that type of thing, so it's different.
And then if you check out the blog too, there's the one about my narrator and I creating the original narrative, and that was just something like that. You want to know the story behind it? Because coming off a couple things people have seen, they're like, "Man, they copied him." Like, did they? I don't know. But like, here's my story behind it, and I kind of told through the 90 days with the culmination because that was the original culmination before Slammiversary timed up perfectly. It's interesting how it all worked out, but like, all right, I'm gonna write out my thoughts, and then I have a feeling I'll be like Tesla one day, and like wrestling right now is Edison, and like maybe 50 years down the road when I'm dead and nobody remembers, like, oh yeah, he's kind of a savant genius in a way, or an insane madman. I don't know. That's up for you to decide. I just put it out there.
Up for interpretation. But yeah, dude, people can check out your stuff, freethenarrative.com. You got merchandise there as well. People can find you on the socials. Anything else you want to plug before we wind down here?
Nah, man, I think we plugged it all. Freethenarrative.com, at the real EC3, whatever's on social media. I don't do TikTok, but I probably missed out on free money doing that. But whatever, it's cool. But it's not. It's like give my information to a foreign enemy, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah,
not for me.
That's a hard pass.
It's just so annoying. It's just dancing. Like that's why I'm right. I'm writing and I'm like, nobody cares. They just want to watch people dance. It's stupid. Why am I gonna waste my time? Because it's my time and I want to do it. So.
Exactly. Well, I think the people would appreciate the reading. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a writer, so I completely understand where you're coming from. But I'm not a big my girlfriend's on TikTok all the time. I don't know if it's more of a girl thing or what it is, but TikTok is just, I don't know. That's a whole other story for a different day. But it's one of the worst things to come out of the pandemic, in my opinion. But I won't go off about that right now. But it is what it is. But like I said, 19th anniversary show this Friday, pay-per-view, Honor Club, 8 p.m. Eastern time, March 26th. Yourself and Jay Briscoe. It's going to be awesome. EC3, man, this has been awesome, dude. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.